Hi class, I wanted to give you some video feedback. I'm going to look at these as a first-time site visitor would, and how things are functioning, how they're laid out, how easy they are to read, and let's just jump right in. All right, David. Okay, very clear. You have the opportunity here to just take a little bit out here and help it align with this image. I would bring this image down though, so that would really fix that. If you bring this down just a little bit, because you need a little more headroom here. Interesting image. Always be careful of what is directly behind our head and things like that. It's interesting how this cuts this in half completely, but just something to keep in mind though in the future. And nice leading lines though. Clear shot. Okay. Here, okay, you have what you did there. That's good. You could have a little bit more description, not much. Not much. I mean, if the choice were this much or too much, I would choose this. Do bring this over. Has a little bit of an AI feature there that tends to put a space there, so bring that over. That one's good, and bring that one over. And you want consistent vertical spacing. It's okay if you have like two closer together and then two closer together, but this would need to be the same as this. You know, if you were grouping them in that way, which would be fine. Then you could have this space, but otherwise you're going to want them to be equally spaced. And the size, you want the size to match too of your frame. But I think in your case, this spacing is good and consistent, mostly consistent. But I think in your case, I would keep a couple kind of close together and then just repeat that same spacing here and keep this the same. So you would bring this one up just a little. And I think that would be an interesting way to do it. And then you would bring this up well. Let's select your header and select the design and make the background color 100% opacity. That will prevent. Right now it's transparent, so this is why we have this overlapping everywhere here. But once you make that solid, that won't happen, okay? And you want to link these, all right? So if you added this, you're simply going to select this set and then select that one when your choices come up here. And then over in the right, you're going to put the URL. Okay, there's a link there. You can select that link. It'll open up. It'll tell you it's a web page, and you'll paste in your URL to that, to your page. But these need to be linked up. All right, let's look at the mobile. Okay. All right. I know in the video I tell people, you know, I show you how to make these smaller, and that's all good, but you could also make, on mobile, you can adjust, maybe making that a little smaller and that larger, you know, whatever might work well. You could probably bring this over a little bit and align with your email, etc., and with all of this. And you can center this, your copyright. You don't have to, but you could. I'd probably take that one space out of there, but that's just a detail. We want to use the same font. Okay, so here it's bolded. It's a little bigger than it is here, so we want to work on that. And when you fix anything in your desktop, it's going to correct or at least affect it in your mobile. Okay, so when you move that over here for this little space, that's going to correct. And you want to make sure you've got equal spacing here, a little more space above your work, a little more spacing there. And okay, probably, okay, that's how you want to do that, as long as you're consistent. All right, so here you do have equal spacing. Let's go ahead and do that up here as well, and wherever you have that. All right. Okay, so that image might, this is really actually better without the water tower coming out from behind your head, because you've got these vertical lines, and that's interesting. So you do want to optimize this image because you could see it took a minute to load and it looked like blank space. So I would do that. Just optimize it to where it's not quite so large a file, and it will load quicker. Of course, I do have a lot of different windows open, but a lot of people would. All right, great job. Good work there. Trayvon, you're having a good month too. Let's create a little more space here so it's not quite so tight. And you would I would probably take, because of the width of this image, you could bring it over a little bit. I think you would be safe to do that. It's a great shot. And you might be able to make this a little wider. I think you're going to like this in black. I just think it's going to look really good with this image. So I would consider picking up, something like this for this. I know it matches this, but I think it's something to play with, something to think about. Everyone's going to duplicate their site, make any necessary edits. You can duplicate it a couple of times and you can play around with the design, and I recommend people do that so that they, have something unique. You do want to be very careful because you're going to be checking the accessibility next week, and we want to make sure that it isn't broken. The way we've had you build it, we know that the accessibility is going to be clean and easy. So you want to make sure that you're not going to straying too far from that. A little more space here, I think. Possibly don't need the underlining. When I see underlines, I typically think that it's a clickable link or something. But you could bold it a little bit. That might be a way to separate it. A little more space here for sure. And I think you want to align this so that it's not hanging over quite so much. You might be able to close this space up. And since you have it this wide, I think I would just bring this up on this line and this up on this line. You're going to have some space above it. And keep those two a little closer together rather than a whole new line. I know you're doing that here, and that makes sense, but I would try to have fewer lines. It reduces scrolling and it closes up some of the gaps. Okay, that's interesting. I consider making that your first one up here. I like this. This is great, but this just ties in so well graphically that I would consider that. All right. Let's align a little bit there. Good job here. All right, let's look at the mobile. Nice placement. And I can make that out. Let's see. Align. Let's see. Close that. You might not even, no, I'm not gonna say that. All right, very nice. I do like the way this is laying out. Do like that. And you might consider bolding your name and keeping this in a lighter weight, so that will have a nice combination. That's pretty much for everybody, but let's see. The image is down here. Let's close that up a little bit. I think it would be, because this, this is here because it was on the right side, you could always put that up here if you wanted, and then have the written copy underneath it. All right, nice work. Really pleased with what everybody's doing this morning. Mama, nice. If we can be consistent about it, if you want to center this with this block, okay, then center that with this block. That would change your spacing here, but you do want some consistency. It's always great if you can have the same number of lines, like there and here would be really nice, which just means you're going to be editing things to word it in a way that has 5 lines. You could have it consistently something in between 6 lines or something. And then you want to make sure that your spacing, your vertical spacing, is consistent, just like you have this horizontal spacing almost consistent. Let's see which is better. I think this spacing is better for you. So that would mean bringing this in just a little for you, for this. All right. Making sure this is probably centered. I could be, yeah, I think that's what you want to do. Okay. I guess I would make this a little lighter, not so bold. I know that I see now that students are in some ways copying exactly what they're given in the video, and that's really good. That's providing a lot of success for you guys. But I think the next video will look at different weights of text a little bit, not quite so much stacking. Let's see. Possibly even moving this into the gray and bringing this up a little bit with some, spacing here. But all things for you to be able to play with. It's really great. Everybody's doing a great job. These are just things notes to myself. We've got, one size font here, one style. Let's look at the mobile. Okay, got a little space there, and yeah. Yeah. But as long as we have hierarchy, something bigger, and then subheading and body copy, don't be afraid to, bold your heading or the title of something. You could close that up. In fact, I probably close this up, bring this up to this, and let this be the heading, and close up role and skills. Okay, they're related, so we can group some things. Fewer groups, that always helps. And I think same thing here. Let's take this amazing photo and bring it up to the top. And you could add an about, but you may not need to. Usually we do add a title that has to do with what's in our navigation. But otherwise, you're doing a great job here. It's looking fantastic. and everything's working. All right, let's look at another one. Gil, nice job with your text. Good choices. And let's go ahead and select the header and make that 100% opaque. So that way we don't want it to have any kind of transparency there, and that won't happen, this overlapping. Just the right amount here. Great image. Great job with the catch light. Let's see. Linked up. And nice. Nice. Almost exact. Exact enough. Nice grouping here. You don't even need to make that bold. It's perfectly fine. Nice blocks of text. Yeah. Got the same number of rows so everyone can see why that works. Looks great. Same number of lines of text. Nice. All right. Nice and clean. Let's make sure we replace this placeholder text. And I do recommend writing a little something because it will help break up this contact to let's chat. I sometimes take it out because I worry students aren't going to update that. But I think in your case, it would be really smart for you to go ahead and make a little invitation to contact you, because you've done such a great job. Close this up a little. I know you can do it, and it be well written. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. And you have the choice to put your name up there or keep your photo up here or keep it like this, but well done. Really good work, Gil. Okay. Christian. Oh, you would need something on your home page. If that's going to stay there, you can delete the home page. You can also reduce your footer size. And let's bring this image up a little bit and make sure you've always got sharp focus and lighting. All right, you could probably increase the lighting a little bit there. Let's rename the file so that when screen readers read over it, they're not reading a 74691, but instead your name, so that they know what's going on there. And probably in this case, I'm not sure if this is bold or not. So 400 normal. It's not actually 10 points, so let me see what's going on here. That is definitely larger. It's possible. Huh. Okay. Is this intertext? I'm curious. I would make this not quite so bold, and then it will reduce the depth as well a little bit. I think that will work out for you a little bit. Not quite so heavy. All right. I'm going to close this up. Nice layout. Okay. Nice. Okay. So you want to have your at least a LinkedIn for your social contacts, a professional site there, and make sure this is centered. Let's see. I think what you want to do is use this font, which is, okay. All right, you've used the same one here again. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. That's what that was. So this is 20 point Helvetica. Sometimes what happens is it's reading the previous line work. So, right. So when I was checking this before, what it was picking up was whatever was there previously. And it was checking in the lines, because the line spaces have sizes too, right? So this is 24 point, which is a little bigger than you need. And it's a bold. So I would first try not bolding, and I would look at maybe a 20 point, maybe a 22, but probably not. So what you have here, again, is 16, which is working. So I wouldn't think you need to go above a 20 point on the other one. All right. Did we look at the mobile, though? Let's look at that. Great work. It's really showing very well for you. So you'll reduce that, and that will also help reduce the scrolling. Maybe a little less headroom, but I would try for another image with a little more light on your face, right? Just a little more light. I think that would promote you better. And I know you can do it because you're a cinematographer and photographer. All right. Did that one. We looked at that one. This one. I do like the black. It looks good. The home page, you want to just remove it for now so we have no blank pages. All right. Well done. Okay. Sabrina. Nice. Strong image. Nice layout. Only use, I say this now, only use drop shadows if you must to separate something. And the reason I say this now, you know, decades ago it was very common, everything had drop shadows. Then we went through more of a flat font period. And so who's to say where we are now in some ways. But it is going to potentially slow your site just a little, not significantly, but a little bit. It's one more thing that has to render, but if you don't need it, you wouldn't need that to separate from the background. Sometimes it's not necessary. This needs to be a heavier font. Okay. Okay. It's okay to have maybe one small animation, but the instructions should probably be down here, a little smaller. Instead of here, it's in the place of the title or the heading. So here we would say projects. And then here we select it, and I am thinking okay, just so you know what happens when someone is doing that. I think in your case, I would definitely use left align and probably add just another couple of lines with a space here, maybe 2 or 3 lines, and the same here because you have all this space. But I would align it. Here you could try right alignment. Don't usually promote that, but you could. And I would do left alignment here. It's not that this doesn't work sometimes to have it centered when there's just a few lines, but it changes. It's going to change depending on how it reflows, and so it's not a consistent way to design. Try to have your screen thumbnails whole so that they're not cropping off important content. Okay, and something that you can do, this again, we're cutting that off. We want to make sure we always have plenty of padding. This one is working. It's got the padding that you need, everything you need there. Okay. One of the things some of you may want to do if you're interested in building websites, those of you in media communications, you can embed your Real Deal Taco if it's correct and everything is, working on it and there's nothing incomplete, then it would function inside your Wix page, and it would navigate and everything. So something to think about. It's just embedding like you would a video. Yeah, this would be smaller and less. I'm trying to read this and look at this, and instead this is trying to get my attention. So this would only need to say view full project, and we can tell if it's a button or something. A black button might look nice. So this looks really good. The thing is, it's not looking good on your page. See, it looks great here, but it's not looking great here. So you may want to change your format to a wide format instead of this box square, okay, so that people want to look at it. And since most of the video work that you've done will be in video format, horizontal, then you might want to start looking at that. Anything that isn't, then group those together. Okay. All right. But you've got some great work to showcase, and that's what counts. It's going to be great. And you're linked up. Okay. All right. It's looking good, and you've got some style added. Let's look at the mobile. Okay. Make sure this isn't your home address. Okay, whatever you do, you can take that map off. People just need to be able to reach you by email. Okay, and the changes that you make will carry over. And, I get that for social media strategists, it's a good idea to have a mock-up, of, say something like this, of your phone, so that you can use the kind of formatting you want to. And because, I can see that you're not just looking at, horizontal, and that's fine, but you might want to position that differently. And again, let's try not to crop that off. Okay. So let's see if you can shorten this. All right, so it's not tacked. Typically, we don't have our name there, so you could make that a heading on your page, but not necessarily in your navigation. And what that would look like is when we go to contact, you could say, contact Sabrina, but only have contact up here. About, you just want to be cautious if you're doing that. You could also design this separately and just change it here on your mobile. Okay. All right. Really happy with what everybody is submitting so far. Your drafts are looking really strong. Again, you're going to duplicate it, and then you'll be able to make any edits onto your second. It's not that there isn't an option to go through history and remove, latest iterations, but maybe you want to keep some of it and not others. So best to just duplicate it. You can also duplicate it again, remember, and play around with the style, and then when you get to week 4, your accessibility, you can use the one that you submitted because that's the one that will be approved for your accessibility test. Okay. And then, of course, on your own, you can test the one that you duplicated and played around with too, and that will help you. But you'll know more about accessibility at that time. Okay, you've been designing with it. We've been focusing on it, on contrast, readability, how to name your buttons, things like this. We have been talking about it. It will come together for you in week 4, and you'll see also how important it is when it's tested. All right. Great job, everybody. Keep it up.